TV, we're never gonna stop. Apps on your phone, smart TVs too, on PlayStations and VR too. AI creators join the scene, generating content, living the dream. Rad TV, oh, we're breaking free, where creators thrive and you can see. From day one, getting paid, join the fun, monetize on Jade. Rad TV, it's all you need, Web3 power, we're in the lead. Stream pass, NFT premium unlocked. Rad TV, we're never gonna stop. We're never gonna stop.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our space today. Kiri, thank you so much for being patient and working with us yesterday through the technical difficulties. Welcome, everyone. Kiri, I just sent you a co-host invite. So many familiar faces in the audience. We will be inviting you up to speak soon and opening up the stage for anyone that wants to talk. Super casual day today. We're just hanging out. We're going to take some questions, give you guys a few updates about what we've been working on and where we are with the Luma partnership, and hopefully answer some questions anybody has and tell you guys what we've got coming up. Kiri, I just sent you that invite. Let me know if you have a problem with it. I was going to ask yesterday how you are, how's your family? I know you were you're down in Southern California for a long time, and don't want to dox too much of your life. So would love for you to give us a little update. Are you safe? Everybody you know and love safe and in the clear?
Hey, Cam, thanks for asking. My heart really goes out to everybody. First of all, I know many of you here have been dealing with this, and I just hope that you're all safe. Feel free to ping me if there's anything any of you need whatsoever. Or
Same.
Yeah, happy to help. I was in the area for a really long time, recently moved for work about 2 or 3 months ago, and my old neighborhood was in the evacuation zone, so most of my friends are okay, which is great. As far as their personal safety, I have a few family members that are still slightly impacted, but luckily, so far, everyone is alive and okay, so that's
Amen.
the most important. Yeah. How about you, Cam? How are you holding up?
Oh, I'm great. We were, I lived in California for 15 years in LA, and to see those Hollywood fires, I ran Runyon every day for 2 years. I'd wake up, first thing I'd do is go straight up to Runyon and hit all the trails, come down and then start my day, eat breakfast, go to the gym, and go to the studio, whatever I was doing that day. And I always parked either on Martel or Sierra Bonita, and then all that traffic that was on Sierra Bonita watching that fire burn was pretty unbelievable, just knowing how much time we spent stomping around that area. And it's tough to see. I don't have words for it. It's not awesome to open the space with this energy, but I think it's important to let everybody know that they're in our thoughts and prayers. And if anybody needs anything or any resources, both Kiri and I have spent a lot of time there. So if anybody's in SoCal and needs anything, don't hesitate to DM us, and maybe we can connect some dots for you. But yes, glad to hear that you're safe, Kiri, and that everybody you know and love is safe as well. So with that being said, Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to 2025. And what an incredible year 24 was. I really can't say enough personally and professionally about how incredible 2024 was. It was magical in every sense of the word. And I'm not just like saying that for a space. I would say this personally, away, to my wife, to my friends. It was an incredible year. Literally, I feel like every day I would log into this app and there'd be some new mind-blowing technology like on the timeline of like something that's like earth-shatteringly good, of like, holy crap, everything is different. And then it'd be like 2 days would pass or a day would pass, and then here's another one and here's another one. And like it never stopped. It literally just kept going and going all the way through the end of the year. And I was actually pretty surprised. Of course, we see this every year of people doing their year in review videos and their, this is what we accomplished this year, a look back, whatever review. And it's really interesting that so many people did that so early because there was so much stuff still being shipped late in the year. And it's interesting that we don't do those year in review videos early in 2025, recapping what was done in 24 after the holiday season, as opposed to doing it leading into the holiday season. So very excited to see all the new tools that are rolling out. So many incredible creators have been posting stuff both on X, Rad TV. I see AI Music Video in the crowd. Lots of great stuff going on with their stream. DJ Squirkle, shout out to you. So many awesome creators here. Caroline, Bijou, Demon, Guillermo, AI Dreams. I'm just scrolling down, so no order. Just scrolling through how it looks on my feed. Welcome to the space. We'll be opening it up, letting a lot of people talk. Like we said, it's going to be very casual, and happy to answer any questions anybody has and give you all a little bit of insight and updates on what we've been working on. Just to give you a high-level overview, we've seen a lot of amazing creators onboarding to Rad TV, still having some conversations with people and onboarding. If that's you, don't hesitate to reach out. If you're having any issues, don't hesitate to DM us, and we'll help get you set up. Kiri, would love to hear any feedback that you have from creators. I've been paying attention to the Discord and seeing what type of energy people are sharing and any issues. Doesn't seem to be any major hangups. What's the feedback been on your side, and how are creators feeling about their appearance and their discovery on Rad TV?
Yeah, creators have been wildly excited. Thank you so much, Cam, for making this opportunity available for them and being present for all of their issues. There's been a couple little technical hangups here and there just with onboarding or little things.
Yeah.
But for the most part, everybody's loved it. I see them uploading pretty frequently. If you go to the Rad TV website or app, or how do they find you on mobile, by the way? I wanted to plug this.
Anyway, so you can use radtv.com on mobile, of course. And if you're on Android or iOS, just search in your app store for our app, and you can do everything there. The best user experience for creators is definitely web. So going through the creator portal to upload everything is mobile web and desktop, radtv.com.
Awesome. Thanks, Cam. Yeah, so with that being said, if you go to mobile web or desktop, radtv.com, you will see on the beautiful homepage there and about the center of all the content categories, the Luma creators. And once you click through that, you can see everybody's content. There's a couple options. You can see most recent once you click through to the creator tag, or creator channels. So the creator channels is a really good section to see everybody's channels, not just their individual videos.
Yep.
And that can be cool because that's like, your name, your whole channel. It's not just the asset of the video that's most recently uploaded to your channel. And there's just been some amazing, amazing content in here. Everything I've seen, people have been very excited about. I think it's given creators a great platform to showcase the amazing things that I see them doing daily. And I just wanted to thank you for that. And I would hope that if anyone has any issues, reach out to us. But it's been great so far.
Great to hear. Yeah, we've of course we've seen normal hiccups of user onboarding. A couple things of like somebody didn't catch an error, or even several people in this space right now have had us fix bugs, real bugs. We caught a really strange one with Pastor that he reached out, and it was because it was a special character in a title, and that was just we just had to push a fix. So people that had special characters like an apostrophe or a comma in a title or something weren't able to upload, or it would stay transcoding forever. It depended on what the character was, what it was doing, but just some little things like that we're building. And this creator studio that we rolled out is still new. We're still building it out, and thank you all for all of your help, and very much thank you for your patience. It really goes a long way, and every interaction we've had has been, like I said, this is the best space with the best energy, period. There's really nowhere that compares to it. And everybody has been so kind and patient, and I really appreciate all of that. So there is one other way to view the main Luma channel, which is a pretty awesome place on Rad TV. If you are in our on our website and in the main carousel where our features section is, there's like 6 featured pieces of content, and then there's a couple banners that are advertising, it's just about our platform, and then there's one specific to Luma creators. If you click that Luma creators banner in the feature section, you go to a dedicated Luma section. You can also find a link directly to that in our highlights section on X. There's a couple links in there actually. So, and there's a lot, we are, like I said, building this out, and there's several ways to reach that. So you can click inside of Rad TV. If you're looking at tags on content or on a channel, you can click those tags, and then you'll see all the content that's in those tags. So it makes those tags discoverable. So if you click the Luma creator tag anywhere on Rad TV, it takes you to the dedicated Luma page, which is beautiful. And we are very proud to have all the Luma creators. So many incredible pieces, like so many pieces that are coming in that are great, that it's really hard to keep up with. So this is something I wanted to message today that I think is important for everyone to hear. If you have a piece that you have worked hard on and you really want it to have a meaningful impact, please reach out to us via DM, via email. You can email me at cameron@radtv.com. You can reach out in Discord, directly message me. You don't have to make the announcement of, hey, it's live, and then come and tell us like, hey, I want my thing to be featured or whatever. Reach out to us when you're ready to launch it and you want to launch it. Give us a few days heads up. We can plan on promo for you. We can get your piece featured. We had a piece yesterday. Let me make sure I'm not saying their name wrong. Winston Mayo reached out for Glory House Studios and reached out, and he said, yeah, I'd really like this piece to be featured. Can you check it out? And I went through it. It has some of the best lip syncing I've seen in the space all in the last 18 months. It is incredible. And there's some amazing shots in there that I was literally looking at it like, is this AI? I'm like, this can't be. Like, it was one of the first pieces to me that I'm like, wait a second. And then he tells me about the production and stuff. And that's something we would love to hear and roll out with you all to make as big of an impact as possible. And, I say this, and I'm sorry if it sounds cliche to you all. I hope it doesn't. But really, your success is our focus. And we want you to have the biggest, most meaningful impact. And we want you to have a big release for your awesome works that you're spending so much time creating. Don't hesitate to reach out to us before the work is even completed. Let's line up a time to discuss what the promo is going to look like. We can hop on a call. And if you want to do, we're even open to doing live spaces to talk about the workflow, to talk about your process as a creator. So don't hesitate to reach out. And, I know it's an extra step of promo, but there are people here in the space that are willing to help with that. And if you have any questions at all, we are happy to discuss and help guide you in any way that we can. I don't claim to have all the answers, but when it comes to promoting and getting your content in front of as many people as possible, we can definitely help on that front. So do not hesitate. If you have something that you really want to be seen, that you think is, worthy of being featured, a real piece that you've put time into, please reach out to us and let us know. Share any details you can with us, collaborators, things like that, so we can get our copy in order, so that we can work together to make your content have the biggest splash possible. Whether it's monetized or free, we don't care on that front. Just reach out. It's not, this isn't just a money game for Rad of us trying to make the most money here. This is really about you getting the biggest impact. The piece that I'm talking about yesterday from Glory House is a free piece, and it's just so much content coming into Rad. We can't keep up. We're not watching every piece all the way through to be like, oh, this is great. We have, content ops in place to make sure that infringing content is not reaching the platform and being distributed. But other than that, it's not somebody sitting down making a judgment on your art. We're really trying to let the artists and creators do everything that they do without interference from us, from algorithms, from advertising. And that's a focal point of ours and a priority of ours. So I've seen this happen several times over the past 3 weeks where people are releasing amazing pieces, and it's kind of quiet, once that piece is out, and it's like, hey, let's be as loud as we can. We want people to see this stuff. You guys are making awesome art, and we really believe that 25 is going to be the year that an AI piece reaches the masses in a way that really touches everybody, that like, hey, AI is here to stay, and these works are high quality, highest production level works, and it's going to be in the same I always picture the Office meme with Pam of like, can you see the difference between these two pictures? And like that's how I feel about like, where we are right now in the content space. Is like people want, even on Instagram right now, you've got to click anything that has like AI in it. Like, get out of here! What are we doing? That is not the future. We're not going to be clicking buttons to say this has AI in it for the foreseeable future. That's a bump in the road, and that will not continue. I see we got Tony here. I'm going to invite Tony up as a co-host. Who else here we got here in the crowd? Let's see who else. Hi, everyone. I see so many familiar faces. It's been great to connect with all of you and get your channel set up. Any questions from anybody as we're going? Like I said, super casual space. We're not, this isn't a come and market to you all. This is take some questions, get some feedback. If anybody has any questions, feel free to put your hand up. We are rolling out a bunch of new features. Maybe Tony wants to chat about that a little bit. We are exploring integrating some new blockchains, and maybe Tony would like to talk about that a little bit. Good morning, King. Welcome.
Hey.
Snowed in Dallas. You okay? You all good there?
Oh yeah. We are loving the snow day. It's beautiful. I'm not in it, but it's a lot of fun. See the kids out running around. So
awesome.
We do have a couple things coming. Obviously, the blockchain space is a big wide world, so it's really about how do you engage communities in that space and enable more creativity. And of course, we've been looking at Solana for a long time and playing around with it for a long time. So, Solana is obviously a kind of top of mind new addition to the platform. And so working through what that actually looks like, they have a slightly different, kind of paradigm than Ethereum does. So we have to work through that. A couple other things too, I've mentioned just adding the ability to tag things kind of intentionally as not safe for work. There's a lot of layers to that and what that actually means, but we don't want to be a platform that limits content that might be considered not safe for work, because there's a lot of creativity that comes out of that in various different capacities. That's not our job as a platform to be the ones who decide on that. It's either legal or illegal, or the platform has enough tools for people to filter things out if they do or do not want to see them. And that's kind of our job as a platform provider. And one thing we have seen is, of course, people uploading content that may be for one type of person versus another type of person, and we just need to continue to add tools that allow people to tag those things appropriately and not have it show up to the wrong audience. And so that's another thing that the tag itself has already rolled out. The ability to filter and the mechanisms around that should follow over the coming days. Literally, our sprint kind of runs into next Friday, so the rollout of that should be happening over the next week.
Awesome.
Those are a couple of the big ones. I mean, obviously, we always try to think, and Cam kind of mentioned it, and my question on a lot of spaces for people in general is, I saw something really interesting, an Instagram video. It was like an old Jeff Bezos thing. And we basically try to look at ourselves as like inventors on people's behalf, because we are spending the time here building these technologies, building distribution and listening. And so when we listen to, how we can help people, we're kind of inventing on their behalf. And we, of course, try to skate to where the puck is going and make some educated guesses on what we're excited about and where things are going. And that's kind of how we got here. But also to a large degree, it's listening to creators. And so, we always like to know if there are things that we could be doing that could 10x your day. Is there something that we have that, could reduce the amount of hours in the day that you spend on something. And I think AI is the prime example of that. It's collapsed the time of idea to execution of that idea to near zero.
Yeah, it's like B-roll films, or you need a shot like you don't need a helicopter.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it's like, I have an idea. I want to tell this platform, I want to tell Luma, what I wanted to do. And so that has the real opportunity there, regardless of philosophically what's happening in the industry and how people feel about what AI is doing. The real thing that it did was save people time and money. So as we like to think about things like, how can we reduce friction? How can we, add value? How can we, reduce the amount of time that you're spending on particular things, or increase the amount of money that you're making, or money making opportunities, right? So as a distribution platform, and as Cam was saying about kind of featuring content, it's the same thing about feedback and in the platform. You can kind of look at us as inventors on your behalf, and we're listening to what we can do to improve your lives and increase your workflow and increase your output and give you opportunities to make money and new ways to monetize. And so, yeah, there's a couple of the features coming in, and just kind of our energy and sentiment, for the new year, 2025. It's really just focus on the platform, polishing and trying to listen as much as possible. So, yeah.
Perfect. Any new apps that you want to share that we're eyeing, or any other chains other than Solana that you would like to mention?
Well, I mean, we've obviously been looking at, different chains. I mean, we've been looking at what we can do with Bitcoin. We've been looking at.
Notice how I prompt him to say it so I don't get in trouble, everyone.
Yeah, we've been looking at what we can do, with stacks, or basically the layer 2 on Bitcoin, or Bitcoin ordinals. I've owned an ape in the past. Have played around in the ape ecosystem, so we're kind of looking at what Ape Chain is doing. It's really is about how do you give people the opportunity to create in the places that they are. And one of the hardest things to do is get somebody to move somewhere. So if somebody's all in on Solana and they have huge Solana bags and they want to just create content and memes on Solana, convincing them to move to Ethereum or Bitcoin or whatever is just a larger lift. So it's better for us as a platform to kind of be agnostic and create those opportunities for people in that regard.
Awesome.
So yeah, looking around at the different chains, and I think the what you can do with wallets is pretty interesting from an economic perspective. So if you're creating and you're adding a wallet to your account, instead of what the old school way, what it used to be is you had to enter your tax ID for a business, you had to upload your ID, you had to connect your bank account, you had to send over test transactions, you had to put those test transactions in, and we had to verify them, and it's just a really painful process. And some people might not even have an LLC set up, or sole proprietorship or anything set up in that regard. And so by us just allowing creators to add a wallet address into their account to get verified, to get paid out and start putting content into the subscription, that reduces friction massively on kind of onboarding into the ecosystem. And so we're just trying to think through those things as well for 2025. It's like, how do you reduce friction, and how do you make these things kind of fall into the background for people to make it as easy for them to make money more quickly, essentially.
On that, would you mind sharing a little bit about the new subscription offering that we've rolled out and how that works in creators on their behalf to earn more seamlessly and easily?
Yeah. I mean, the kind of paper contracting process and getting content onto the platform and then getting it into a subscription means that previously you had to collect all of that bank account information, tax IDs and things like that. And so you're managing a bunch of paper contracts that has a bunch of legal language that people need to then approve or disapprove or send to their legal counsel. Some people don't even have lawyers. And it's just a massive headache. And then we as an organization have to manage and hold all of those paper contracts as well. And that's why smart contracts are really powerful for selling individual pieces of content. But we're also saying, how can you get into doing that from a subscription perspective? And so, just adding a wallet address or a payout address is similar to giving us your bank account information, but you didn't have to do anything except create a channel, upload some cool content, and connect a wallet to it. You don't need to upload your ID.
We don't need your name.
We don't need your passport. We're not storing that information. Like, we don't need any of that. So that's just a way for us to help creators start to make money, in a different and new way, because some consumers don't want to buy individual pieces of content. Some people do. Some people are art collectors, or some people are, believers and supporters in a particular format or content type. But a lot of people just want to subscribe to something and forget about it. So we wanted to give everyone easy access to that, but do it in a kind of a new way, right? Like, sure, we could ask everybody for their bank account information and, tax IDs and pictures of, their passports, but that we don't need to do that today. So we just rolled that out, couple weeks ago. So it is very, very new. We only took a couple days off over the holidays. So
yeah, post holidays is when I took a day off. I took my first full day off. Well, not New Year's Eve, I guess, but I just couldn't go into 2025 with my office looking the way it did. So I took a day to clean my office. I was like, I can't start the year off like this. That's not good for me and my mental health. So we had to clean it up. But yeah, we didn't really take off any days. We had so many creators onboarding, and we take it very seriously that this is your business. And, you might not care. Somebody listening to this right now might not care at all about Christmas, might not celebrate, might not be part of your tradition. And your business is still operating on December 25th, and we understand that. I mean, that's a conversation we have regularly, and how seriously we take your business, because that your business is how our business is succeeding, is by your business succeeding. Kiri, I've seen some new updates from Luma. So you guys had some hype tweets rolled out over the past couple days. Anything you would like to share with us on Luma's front? We'd love to hear any alpha or any news that's hot off the presses.
Oh man, you put me in the hot seat. There's a lot coming soon, and that's about all I can say right now, but it will be very exciting, and there couldn't be a better time for all of the Luma creators to be front and center, so I just can't wait.
Awesome. Amazing. Any timelines that you can share? I'll ask the questions people want the answers to.
I got it. I'm sorry, guys. I can't.
I understand. We understand.
Caroline's in here. She's anonymously in here.
I'm gonna walk out my door and get taken out by AI generated raccoons and trench coats.
Worth noting, while we're all here and talking about being spied on at the moment, this space is being recorded. It will be available for free on Rad TV after this is over. So I know the space isn't technically recording on X, but we are recording it, and it will be available on Rad TV today for free for everyone. One click, no ads. You don't even need an account to play it back. So no barriers to entry to watch this. And that goes for all of your content as well. I think it's pretty important to let people know when you upload something to Rad TV, it's available in its highest quality everywhere immediately. There's no ads. You don't need an account to watch that content. So if you post a link, just the link to your X page, and post that anywhere, one click, that video starts playing. There's no interference whatsoever. So the quickest way for you to get somebody watching the highest quality content that they can for your production is dropping a link to Rad TV. There is no friction. They click that link, the video starts playing immediately, and there's no ads. There's no other creator content being injected before yours. That is your space, and that is your content, and we are not interfering with the interaction between you and your audience. I'd love to open up the floor to anyone. Let's talk about the space. Let's talk about what's going on. I don't want to talk too much about current events or let's focus on some positive things today, and let's talk about the space, technology, where we are in our process working. What's anybody working on? I see Bijou's in the space. I know she's always uploading new stuff. We got Demon AI that's been crushing it. Level Up's out here. AI Dreams. Would anybody like to come up and ask any questions or share what you've been working on?
Just tell us what you
tell them what you're working on.
Built.
What you're looking at.
What can we build?
Sure. Any feedback? I see Terry's here. I'm going to invite Terry up just because she's always great to have on anything. I'm going to invite Bijou up too as a speaker. I'm just going to invite a few people. If you want to join, cool. If not, that's fine also. AI Dreams, awesome space between AI Dreams and Level Up the other day. I don't know.
Dave in here. I don't know how Dave makes it. He's everywhere. Dave is on everything.
Dave is everywhere.
Screenwriter Dave.
He's got like 8 phones on all.
I'm like, he's farming it somehow. It's impossible for him to be everywhere.
So we brought up some other speakers. Hi, Terry. Welcome. Saw you uploaded a new piece the other day. How are you? Happy New Year.
Oh my goodness. Happy New Year. I did. Wow. I'm just loving the Rad experience. I did. What did I upload? Oh gosh. Yeah. Oh yeah. This was for the Tales from Spaces, done almost like 100% with Luma Labs. Thank you, Kiri.
Wow, 100%. How? What's your real percent? Is it like 99.9? You did one other thing on another tool. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? That's very impressive. That one piece. So used to people saying they're kit bashing. One piece is a very powerful statement.
So yeah, kit bashing. That's such a funny term. Yeah. So it was taken from a book that I wrote called Tales from Space, and I was just doing weird, quirky humor. And I was looking at it and I thought, wow, this would be fun to make these short little, 3 to 5 minute sketches or skits. And just see if I could pull off that weird, quirky, abstract, super dry humor. And I think it worked really well. There were some really cool things like Luma Labs did, especially with like typing on a board and making the text work. So that is where so maybe it's like 99%. I had to actually do the text in another program and bring it in, but it worked really well with understanding where the placement was.
Awesome.
So that was cool. Yeah. And then, things like sound and voice, and sound, voice, and music were done by, Udio and 11 Labs. So I went from normally using something like 7 to 10 different AIs down to 3 to 4, where Luma was 99%. So that was really cool.
That's incredible to hear.
Yeah, I really love the boards. I really love the boards, using the boards. Those were fun.
Awesome. So that piece you said it's from a book. Is it a piece from the book, like an excerpt, or is it encapsulating the entire book?
So the entire, I'm going to, I did a whole thing on where I was explaining the storyboards. So what I did was I took the book and broke it down into 10 episodes. So each episode will have 3 stories to it. And all the stories come out of Tales from Space. So that's what I'm hoping to end up with. And this first one, the first episode has, like I mentioned, 3 acts or 3 scenes. I'm not sure how you want to call it. What do you want to call it? But they're not meant to, each one is different. So it's just meant to show kind of weird, quirky space humor. So, yeah.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing. We ran a poll the other day that I'm sure a lot of you probably participated in that was asking where you spent the most time or what took the most time in your production process. And audio was the least selected. And I found that very interesting because I don't know how anybody would think audio in a film is the least time consuming, because I do audio. So for me, it's like always the most time consuming, which is interesting to see the different perspectives on how people look at that. And I'd love to hear from the creators on stage, Level Up AI, Terry, welcome Beyond Flicks. How are you all feeling about where your friction point is in your production process? It's whether that's pulling the lever or that is editing. Where are you in your process realizing the first friction? Where's the first friction introduced along your process? And anyone, feel free to jump in.
All right, I'll do the jumping then. I'm a trained filmmaker. I'm a writer director, working and living in Germany. And I'm totally with you, man. Sound is the most important thing. The thing is, with short form AI content, you can hide a lot with just putting on a music track. Making it like a music video kind of thing. But as you just said, like the sound is. When
your ears don't hear in frames. Eyes see in frames. You can't trick ears. You can only trick eyes. You can put things in that you can't see, but you can't do things that you can't hear.
Exactly. The thing is, when you build together your timeline with AI content, it's so empty, man. It feels so devoid of anything. It's only when you put in the steps, the noises of the steps and the footsteps. That's what I mean. And the scratching of the keys on the keyhole and all that. That's when it comes alive.
Absolutely.
But the first point of friction is actually putting together all those shots in on the timeline. I feel like because as a filmmaker, you have to look at so many things. Is the lighting correct in the shots? If you have a reverse shot situation, does the light come from the same direction? Is the colors the same, similar at least? And of course, character references, style references, all that. But then does it cut together? That's the main issue. The first issue that I often encounter in my own projects. That's still I gotta say, like, that the music wouldn't be one of the major issues. I find that irritating, at least.
Sure. I always, I love going to movies to watch the film, but primarily for the sound in the theater. That's why I go to the theater, is for the sound experience, not for the visual experience. And I've always loved going into especially animated movies, because the animated world doesn't exist. So every sound is made up. And it's interesting to hear. Like, I always think when people talk about interesting sounds or whatever, the first thing that pops into my mind is Tom Cruise War of the Worlds, and those giant spaceships coming in, and that sound that was like, and that sound was so weird and scary and new. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, imagine hearing that sound humming over your entire city. And I mean, I'm not going to go into the details of the movie, but it's like, geez, that is, and if you listen really closely and break it down, there's like a lion roar deep inside of there. And there's like all these little nuanced things that you would just never think would make up like an alien spaceship sound, but there it is. And it works. Like
just to go a little more nerdy, the lightsaber sound in the original Star Wars, sure. I think there was a fan in there somewhere, a hairdryer, and all sorts of stuff just mixed together, and it's just vroom, vroom, vroom. And it's so iconic, That's the lightsaber fight. Without that sound, come on, man, that's nothing.
As you made that sound, I actually could hear the blow dry in the
Was it a red one or a green one? What was it?
I don't know. This is new. This is new information to me. I actually, a good family friend of mine. They're from Akron. I'm not going to name drop now, but they actually did all the sound for the first several Star Wars movies, and my family's known them for a long time. A couple brothers. Their dad was actually big into sound, and George Lucas gave them Dogfighter. From World War II, gave them clips from World War II of planes fighting each other and had them make sounds that were not airplane sounds, but were spaceship sounds, and didn't tell them what it was for. So they spent months doing sound to dogfighting scenes. But what they did was they mapped all of their shots from those same dogfighting scenes. So when they paired up the audio with the visual that they were working on, and they used that same reference point, everything worked together. And they didn't know they were working on Star Wars. And like that was, to them, it was we got this project, who knows what it's going to be, and then bam, it ends up being Star Wars. And I've been out to dinner with him a couple of times, but we're not like talking on the phone, and I'm not using that time to like, tell me all about the Star Wars sounds that you made. It's more of a good to see you. Nice talking. Good to see you.
Yeah. Maybe next time you can get them to do the TIE fighter sound with their mouth over the phone. I don't want to attempt.
I honestly think you were pretty good. Let's hear it one more time, if you don't mind.
Is that it? I
don't know. Close enough.
I'm really glad that Kiri unmuted the laugh. That was good. I love that.
Needed to be heard.
I would love to hear from AI Dreams and Level Up, and even yourself, Terry, if any of you want to hop in on where you're finding friction in your production process, or any friction points there.
Hello, everyone. Thanks. Oh, go ahead.
And again, awesome space the other day, you two. It was incredible. It was a lot of fun. It's open.
Right, well,
yeah, go ahead.
AI
you
Dreams
got it.
has muted himself. So go ahead. I actually missed the first part of the space, and I might have to drop off again because I am in the middle of work, but I appreciate you having me up here. And thanks for hosting. So I didn't actually get to hear most of what you guys were talking about, but I did participate in that poll the other day, and at least I didn't see the final results, but at least when I had looked at it, I voted for story, and that had like a very little amount of votes, which I thought was interesting because for me, it's like, well, that's where I start. Like, what am I trying to do here? And then trying to get like, it has to fluctuate so much for me along the way, because even right now I'm trying to work on a new project, and I have an idea in my head, and then I start, okay, let me start making images for it. And I was telling my husband last night, like, honey, come look at what I did, because I wasn't thinking about doing this at all, but it's kind of cute, and maybe I'll do a little thing with it. So I kind of just like go along the way, modifying based on what I'm getting. And then I think that like once I have kind of the story worked out is where I then figure out, okay, how am I going to do the voiceovers? How am I going to do the audio, the sound effects, like all that editing? It all comes together as part of that. But for me, it's really like, what story am I trying to tell, and make it like cohesive, and at least to me, like fun in what I'm trying to do. And that's the fun part, but it's also where I run into the first friction, because I want to do this in my head, and then the generation will be like, but maybe you want to do this. And I'm like, okay, do I just keep going and making it try to do exactly what I want it to do? Or do I just say, hey, yeah, maybe that's a cool direction to take something? So it's fun, but it's also like, it just, to me, it elongates the process, because now I've got to think about how to rewrite the script to put in this quirky thing that it did, and how are the characters going to interact with this thing, and maybe I cut characters here. Like, it's this ongoing battle and process, and this is why it takes me forever to get projects done. But I don't know, I like the end result, I guess, because I feel like it's more of a more creativity when it's like something that is unexpected, I suppose. But yeah, anyway, I thought it was interesting that a lot of people are putting like a ton of time in the technical weeds that I honestly don't even understand that much. I'm learning as I go on all that stuff. And I'm like, well, the story was cute to me, so it's probably not technically perfect, but if it makes someone happy to watch it, then okay, I can figure out, sound design as I go. So that's, I guess, kind of my approach to things.
I actually love the approach because story is the most important thing. I'm sorry, Rad TV. I don't know your name. Yeah, even more so than sound, the story. If the story isn't there, man, it falls flat. I believe so. Level, you're definitely on the money for me.
Anyone who doesn't know, my name is Cameron. I'm head of community at Rad TV. We have Kiri here from Luma Labs and our CEO, Tony, on stage. And then we have Terry, Level Up AI Dreams, and Beyond Flix, who are 4 creators in the space. Amazing creators, by the way. So thank you for sharing Level Up. I'm interested to know what programs are you using to work with audio, and what are you using to manage your video?
So I usually use 11 Labs for like all of the voiceovers, and I really like their custom voice feature. So I usually use voice design for those. And I just think that's awesome. I love it. They are always really knocking it out of the park with the options they give me too. So usually that for any sort of narration. And actually I've been using Epidemic Sound for a lot of sound effects, just because previously when I was in 11 Labs, it didn't seem like the sound effects library had a lot of what I was looking for, but I'm seeing people posting stuff that's using their sound effects. So I went in there the other day and was like, wow, okay, I guess I was missing out because they really have a lot of sound effects in there now.
Awesome.
And I'll probably start going towards that. For video, I'm in the Luma creator program and I love them so much. So I use Luma a ton. Then also I just like to use like what I feel like is the best generator for the thing I'm doing. And I know that like Hilo, which I'm probably mispronouncing, has really great the way I do a lot of like animated sort of stuff, and I really like their image to video O1 Live, I guess, for some of the scenes, because they're really great at kind of keeping the overall look while just doing like everybody knows they're really great at like animating a character to look like it's saying something. And then I'll take that and like run it through Runway Act 1 and do the voice acting, like the acting myself, which is really cringy, but also
that's
fun.
awesome. Are you changing your voice to do that?
Scene.
Are you manipulating your voice to get different things out? How are you doing that?
No, I'll just like record myself, and then I'll use the voice from from 11 Labs to use their 11 Labs voice saying the thing that I'm saying, basically replacing the voice with it. So it's a fun, again, time consuming, but fun process. And it's really cool that you can even do that. But that way you can add your own expressions to the character
and inflections and everything. And it matches pretty well. Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. Because a lot of the other options you have for even using Hedra, I think their lip sync is great, but it's also like very specific. And like if you're doing a realistic character that's looking right at the camera, it's great. But if you're doing like a little bit off looking character and you want them to be like doing something crazy with their face, I just haven't found any better option right now than Act 1 for that. So it's just great to have options depending on what you're doing. As long as you have me up here speaking, which I appreciate, I just want to tell everybody that my account's still shadow banned and I'm unable to like interact with anyone. And it's really kind of making me sad because I'm seeing all your cool posts. I want to support them. I want to comment on them, but it's of no use. I've submitted a ticket that's like lost in the wind and tried following up a couple times.
They'll get it taken
care of. Trying to help me, but I just want you to know that like I'm not ignoring you. I would like to be.
That's ridiculous.
You. So in the meantime, thanks for letting me say hi today.
You're welcome anytime over here. We will never shadow ban you. Your likes will stay, and you are welcome here. Thank you for sharing, and please stick around as long as you can. Thanks for stopping in, and go ahead, Beyond Flix.
Yeah, I wanted to chime in there. What I found, especially with I got to talk a little bit about my project that I'm doing. I'm trying to get this hybrid feature film off the ground, where we kind of produced a table read format, 9 actors and actresses sitting around a table and playing out a screenplay. And then we use their performances at the table basically to as reference in Act 1 and other tools. And what I found interesting was a specific challenge that I had that I couldn't. Well, I used I used HeyGen for the moments when the mouth was covered by a microphone, because Act One couldn't handle that. So HeyGen does very good animation with sound only. And then the problem was a specific problem here. HeyGen doesn't do children, and for obvious reasons.
Obviously, but still strange. But yeah, go ahead.
Definitely. So I found a workaround. I animated a photo of myself basically, with the sound of the actor, and then I took it out and took that animation basically over to what's it called? Oh my god, no, it escapes me. The runway, Act One. Yeah, exactly. So I kind of used one tool to have the reference with the mouth moving, and then put it onto the face of a child, basically. So I hope not the wrong people are listening here, but still, from a creative perspective, it was interesting to know the capabilities and challenges for each of those tools, and combine them in one. Same thing goes for transitions in Runway and Luma. Like the Luma transitions are some of the weirdest and therefore best out there. I feel like the way that that it embraces this non-Euclidean space and just does something completely unique with it. I've not found that anywhere outside Comfy UI, maybe, but yeah, that's always fun to use there.
Thank you for sharing. So I want to be a little more clear on my question, because I understand I wasn't, now that everybody's answered a couple questions, I understand I wasn't very clear in my asking. I would love to know what programs you all are finalizing your production in. When I said like, what video tools are you using, I understand how easily confusing that is, especially in this space. But I would like to know what tools you all are using to actually finish your productions. Are you Final Cut? Are you in Casino for audio? Are you in Pro Tools? Are you in Logic? What's your workflow? And feel free, anyone, go ahead.
I'll speak up. If you don't, go ahead.
Absolutely, fly over. Go ahead.
I was going to say that I usually use DaVinci Resolve, but
cool. How long have you been using it?
That, and then I was like, maybe he means video generation.
How long have you been using DaVinci?
Just about like 6 months. I actually have access to Premiere because I was going to ask if you switched.
That's my next question.
And I just have never really used Premiere because I always felt intimidated by it. I wasn't doing a lot of video editing before I got into AI. Mm-hmm. So I just decided that, hey, well, DaVinci Resolve is free and there's these tutorials, and I just started there so I could switch to Premiere at some time. But yeah, Resolve's been really great, and it's free for folks that don't know that.
Thank you
for almost everything there.
Absolutely. Great plug. Thank you for sharing. Whoever else, fly over, Terry, jump in.
Yeah, I'll speak up real quick. I don't know if anyone's watching. Here's my plug. Neighborhood Watch.
It's good. It's good. On Rad TV, get in there.
Yeah, Rad TV, watch it. 5 parts are up there. The whole thing I'll eventually give to the AI music video, of course. But right now you can watch the parts on Rad TV. But Adobe Suite. I mean, I've been using it for over 10 years. I used to be an animator for Johnson & Johnson. That's my bona fides. And if someone is looking for finishing software, the Adobe, there's a lot of free stuff out there. Use the free stuff. It's great. But the Adobe Suite, if you do want to just pay one, and I don't work for Adobe, I'm just letting you know, if you want to pay for one thing and get all of these tools, it's not bad. It's a little clunky in places now compared to other stuff, like, DaVinci easily has better color grading, for example, but Premiere is going to get you there too. So Premiere, After Effects, Photoshop, Illustrate, Audition, I use them all to make my videos. And if anyone's looking for that kind of stuff, it's a one-stop shop. You don't have to part it out to a bunch of different things, and they all integrate into each other, which makes it really nice.
Yep.
But that's the best way to go about it, I think.
Same.
And just to answer your previous question too, did you say your name was Cameron?
Yes, my name is Cameron.
All right. Because I've talked to you a bunch, I feel like, back and forth, either on here or in messages. Never asked your name because I'm horrible at names.
I probably told you. You probably just skipped over it.
Probably
nobody reads.
You probably did. Here's my your other question was, what was your 2 biggest hurdles?
Yeah.
Or what was your biggest hurdle? Your biggest stopping points? I need more hours in the day. So if anyone's got that figured out, send it my way. I'm just trying to sneak in maybe 27 hours, maybe 30 hours. Because right now I'm only doing 24, and it's not
It's
enough
not
in the
working
day. No.
That's great. That's amazing.
In all seriousness, it's lip syncing. It's lip syncing. It's video to lip syncing. Because there's a ton of different pictures to lip sync tools right now. I mean, there are a lot. But video to lip sync, especially for non-humanoid characters, like I'm trying to get this cat to sing. I have a fake band called the Inside
forget
Cat.
it.
It is impossible right now. So if anyone out there is listening and you're taking down notes for your company, if you video to lip sync on non-humanoid characters would be a game changer.
So I'm interested.
All right, I'm going to slink into the shadows.
No, please stay for a moment because I have a question about this before we jump to Terry. So I'm interested to know the production process because I do have familiarity with some film and a lot with audio. What does that look like in let's say somebody who understands the lexicon of those spaces? Are you doing it in? Is it like frame by frame, or are you doing like seconds or minutes of video that's actually able to be generated? How?
It's case by case, really. I mean, that's a good question, but it's what is needed at the time, right? Like for the last Neighborhood Watch, we're piecing together stuff. Like some parts are shortest cut. I'm looking at Amber now. She doesn't like to get on mic too much, but she's the other half of Neighborhood. She's saying, oh yeah, she's talking about how horrible video generation is, but also how good it is. So like you might generate a 10-second clip and 2 seconds of it's usable. So when I say case by case, sometimes you might get a whole 10 seconds that is amazing, or maybe it's slow and you have to speed ramp it up. But oftentimes you are getting like 2 out of 10 seconds might be usable. So it is really case by case on that.
And then you're putting in, so like you could put in, what's the longest piece you can put into a lip sync tool? Like, can you put in a minute of audio that you love the video for and just keep regenerating it till you get those perfect sections? Like it might get, let's say there's 10 sections. The first run, it messes up half of them. The next run, it messes up a different half. You can combine those two and have a full piece. Is that how you're...
That's kind of what you do right now. So like, for example, Keeling or Kling, however you pronounce it.
Yep.
Only accepts the maximum of 10 seconds, right?
Yep.
So you're limited to 10 seconds. What I will do often is I will take a 10-second part of my audio and upload that. And if it does glitch, but I love everything else about it, I'm just going to do a cutaway shot, right? So the first 4 seconds, perfect. I'm going to cut away for 2 seconds to whoever they're talking to, if it's a back and forth, 180 over the shoulder back and forth kind of 2 shot. And then we're going to cut back to the original shot where it's not messed up again. So case by case, I hate saying case by case over and over again, but case by case is definitely the answer. And I'm jumping around, but I'm also going to say story for us is king. We've pitched to so many studios in the past for animated shows, and that's what they all harp on too, like Frederator Studios, HBO, Comedy Central, NBC. They all put story above anything else. So if you're not focusing on your story, as someone else said earlier, it's going to feel empty. And if you already have your story in place, to now bring it back, that will inform a lot of what you're making, because your story should be your guide, right? From your story, you can start with an outline. You can move on to a pitch board, to a storyboard from there, to an animatic from there. Don't be afraid to line up all of your shots with just still frames.
Yep.
That's an animatic.
Yep.
Layer in your temporary audio, even have a temp track.
They sold a lot of comic books.
Yeah, get your temporaries down. Do it. Oh man, you just made me laugh because I think of those old motion comics from the 80s.
Yeah.
Don't know if you ever saw them, but they were essentially like He-Man animatic, where it didn't move, but it was just He-Man talking. Love that kind of stuff. You should be doing that. If you do have a story, there's no problem doing it, because you can work AI in a traditional workflow. And when you combine the two, I think that's when you create magic.
Agreed. I keep finding that people that have, I feel that when I'm talking to people that have a background in traditional media, they have an advantage. And whether that's because they spent years editing traditional, so now they have speed when it comes to editing, or they have audio knowledge, it goes a long way. And I'm going to say something that they harp on in the sound world. When you're on a soundstage mixing a movie or audiobook or anything else. The sound, the words that they use for newbies coming in is, if you see a sound, you hear a sound. If you were watching the screen, if you see something that has sound, it should have sound. Whether it makes it to the final production or not is not your decision as the sound designer. That's up for the mix engineers and the final producer's cut. But as a sound designer, and you're putting in every sound that you can see or imagine, that is the place that I come from.
And we would call that an assembly cut, like an animation, because the next step would be all the sounds you don't see.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, like, people don't even really think about how much work goes into the sound of clothes rubbing together. And
all
like,
those little incidental sounds.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like,
The leaves
Foley.
rustling in the background.
Yeah. I mean, like, Foley is the coolest sound in the world. And once you understand that 90% of all dialogue you hear and almost 100% of all sound you hear in any show or movie is all done in post. It is not done on production.
Right.
And people don't really understand that. Once you understand it, you start to pick it out. Like, even my wife now, if she's watching something, there's bad ADR, she's like, what the hell was that? That was weird. Like, it like really interrupts the flow of the content. She can pick out a different microphone being used or a different room that something was in.
Oh man, I do too. I don't know if Amber hates that. She just laughed when you said that, because I do the same thing to her. If there's a different room, I can tell they're in a different room.
Yep, absolutely. And it takes me out of the moment. And those are the types of things that I'm looking for when I want to escape and watch a movie or watch a piece of content. And those are the things that really pull me in, is the shot consistency. It's everybody in this audience, I'm sure you've watched something before where, like, they cut, so there's a scene and they have like half their glasses are full, they cut away and they come back and they're even more full now. And like, it's been like 1 second. You're like, wait a second, that's not consistent. And it takes your brain out of the flow of the story. And anything that we can do to reduce that helps with the story. Terry, thank you for being so patient. Go ahead.
Wow. I was just mesmerized by what you were saying. And then all of a sudden it would just made me think of so many shows or films that I saw in which, either glass or something, or even change of light. Like, it goes from being, in the afternoon where it's, daylight to nighttime, like within a second. And I'm like, what the heck? It does. It totally moves you from being immersed in the, that program. But yeah, between Level Up and Flyover, like, I'm like right there in the middle. Like, I either want to control or let go, or I like to be organic or super planned. So, and that goes for both, like, whether the video isn't working the way I want, then I have to make the creative director decision. Do I like what it gave me? Will it work? Will it incorporate? Or do I have to go back and like redo it? So, and I did, like, in the bubble down below, I did post like the steps that I took for putting Tales from Space together. So, maybe that's helpful for everybody. But it is a big deal. I do love, my friction point is video, but like what Level Up said, it's also the story. And I have a hard time just like organically going and doing something that I think is really good from an organic perspective, like just sitting there. I mean, playing around is one thing, but when I'm doing a story, I really want to make sure the story has like all the acts incorporated and things like that. And the characters are sound, or if there are no characters, like what's happening is sound, and it's at least getting the vision that I have come across. So I do, like to work with a storyboard. But the video side, it's like, again, it's like either something organic will happen and I think, oh, maybe I should let it go, or I've got to go back and redo it and kind of control it a little bit. And in terms of, programs that are kind of somewhat AI, like with Flyover said, I like the Adobe suite and it works really well. And I am I do like tools that are stripped down. So, the one that I'll go and do editing in is Premiere Rush. So I do have some pro experience, but for me, since I'm already including special effects and things like that in the videos from Luma Labs, like adding something more, having less is more my preference. But I do get into the nitty gritty of like, oh, should I do a dissolve or should I fade to black? Or, should all these keyframes, should they all be this sort of coloring? And how do I add that in and stuff like that? So all these decisions, but it's fun, little, so.
Thank you for sharing. AI Dreams, would you like to add anything? And thanks for being on stage and being so patient.
Good morning, Cam. Morning, everybody. Morning, Kiri. Yeah, I just made a sale on Rad yesterday, so thank you guys
Let's go.
again.
Yeah.
It just requires no maintenance. That's the fun part of it. It's like set it and forget it. Drop your video there. People will find their way eventually. And whoever is out there and purchase it, I just wish I could get their name so I could like thank them or send them a thing like thanks. But yeah, if you're out there, thank you. Not to bring up the current events, but I'm out here close to it, and just to set everybody at ease, the positive news is that power is coming back on everywhere. I've been without power for 3 days, and the skies are clearing up. Yeah, skies are clearing up in LA. They're making good progress on all the fires, so it looks like everything's kind of turned the corner. I'm sure everybody's going to have to deal with the aftermath, but at least it's not getting worse and it's getting better.
Yes. If you don't mind sharing, where are you in LA?
We're probably where everybody would recognize is Thousand Oaks. So it's basically, it's its own city, but basically the north side of LA. I kind of feel like LA pretty much extends all the way to the Bay Area down to San Diego. I know that's not true, but I'm from LA. So
it goes to Long Beach, which is far enough.
Right. I know Newport and Orange County likes to consider themselves separate, but I'm like, yeah, but really only by your own imaginary boundaries. You're still part of it. As are we here. So everything's, interconnected, but yeah. And then as far as the tools and stuff, first, my choke point for me is probably consistency, be that in character, color, scene, anything like that. So trying to get that right is really tough. I saw that Haley just came out with something for the character consistency that I'm keen on trying. And Saint 77 introduced me to Pixel Dojo, which I was also working on right when the power went out. I was training Alora in it, so I'm curious to see how that works out for the Rabbit and Girl, which I'm working on at the moment. I need to finish this one up because it's supposed to release for Valentine's. And as far as my finishing machines, I have the Adobe Suite. Level Up and I got it at the same time. They had some killer deal for the yearly membership. And I know a lot of people have strong opinions about their privacy policies and stuff, but just FYI, if you don't put it in the cloud, then it does not, they can't see it. So if you're worried about them like seeing your stuff, if that's your concern with Adobe, don't be. I don't have any use for the cloud, so I just keep everything locally. But they do have some really powerful weapons in their arsenal. I use actually Photoshop, or have used Photoshop a lot to get the character consistency I need, because you can get your picture of your character animated in the various animators and just tell them things like, character sits down, character stands up, character turns around. And, of course, they're going to morph and blur when they're doing it, but here and there you'll have a nice shot that you can export out of, for example, in my case, Premiere Pro, and then you can take that shot, edit it, and for example, I'll use Free Pick, and then pop that back into either I can use Photoshop and put it in a scene. For example, I might have a scene of a living room that I had, and I want them both in the scenes. So I literally just cut and paste, drop them in the scene, throw that back in the animator, and it animates it. And if there's anything kind of wacky looking with it, you can fix it up. And then Topaz, has been my best friend. I think a lot of people's best friend for completely finishing things recently. If you do a lot of lip syncing in Hedra or some of the other programs, sometimes the mouth will blur a little, or sometimes the eyes will blur a little. But if you run it through Topaz with that interpolation on, and so it sets it at like 8 times slow motion interpolation, I think that will usually smooth out most of it. So, and if you run it through again, it'll smooth it again. But at some point, it kind of starts smoothing everything a little bit too much. So, yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing. And I'm honestly impressed that you remembered everything that we had been covering and hit every topic. Great job.
It's
It was really impressive.
Nice show.
Thanks for being here. I mean, this is super casual. We do these shows pretty regularly through Rad. And like I said earlier, if you are a creator, anybody listening here, and you want to tell your story and tell about what you're posting to Rad TV, reach out to us. And if you're up for a space, let us know. We'll put you on the list and we'll be in touch. PJ, go ahead. Welcome.
Hey. Good afternoon. Glad to talk to you. I'm glad to see everybody in here. I tell you what, man, I look at this space and I see these names and I'm just like, it's a great place to sit and talk and listen to people. Terry, I'm glad to see you in here. It's always wonderful to talk to you. But I just wanted to touch base, talk about the efforts with Luma Labs. I will say, first of all, with Luma Labs, I've been privileged to be part of that partnership, and I've been using it nonstop. It's been amazing with some of the new tools that have been coming out. And Rad, I wanted to at least touch also that Rad TV is really set. This is just my take on it. You really set a standard to be able to empower people, not just creatives that are diving right in, but there are masses of people that don't have a chance to be able to have it deployed or have it seen. And I've been very privileged to be able to have created the AI Film 3 platform. And that's what I want to focus on, is how do I help promote those people that they may not have a ton of content. They may not have something that can help them build a channel, but they want to create and they still want to do that. And I think you guys have really employed that, so congratulations, Rad, and all the stuff that Cam, you're doing, and Tony, you guys are just really good thought leaders. And I think this is the type of thing that's going to make a paradigm shift in how people can get stories told. So I congratulate you, and I'm glad to be part of it.
Thank you, King. We're very really excited to be connected with you. And I see you unmuted, Tony, but I'll before you talk, I'll just say, this really, and toot my CEO's horn here. And, I'm not afraid to do this publicly, and Brown knows a little, but Tony has had a vision for this company for 10 years that he's been building. And there's been times in the 4 years I've been here that I'm like, I don't know about that idea. And he has absolutely always skated to where the puck is going to go in a way that I think very few humans can see. And it's because he's had such a long journey in media. He really started Tony's told this story in Spaces before. He started coding video streaming software very young, and it was one of the first things he did as an engineer. And this has been his love and his passion and his primary focal point for most of his adult life. And to see everything come together in the way it has, I didn't know if VR was going to rebound the way it has over the past few years. And like 4 years ago, VR did not look like what it looks like today, right? And Tony was always adamant of like, no, all of these things are going to combine into a future that we cannot really even understand today, because 3D generation, immersive generation is going to change everything. And the content scheme is going to change everything. And Tony has really built a vision for empowering people that didn't have a voice. And it's not just with Rad TV. Like, there's been projects that I don't want to say failed, but projects that, we've turned into open source things. And Tony, if jump in any time here, I just, I want to give a shout out to the King here of, it's really all his vision, and, we're just executing. And then I'll add in, we're also very much so listening to you all. So, pat yourselves on the back and give yourselves a round of applause, because we are listening and you all are helping build this. I mean, there's people in this space right now that have said like, hey, this needs changed. And it's changed that day by our engineers. And it's really just like a screenshot of a message set in a Discord. And Tony's like, this needs to be done this way and it needs to be done now. And it's done in a day or two. and it is literally you all making decisions for how the platform works. So Tony, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Well, no, I certainly appreciate it. And I think just it really comes from a place of kind of a lot of philosophical alignment that we see in various different spaces that are now connecting, right? And so when you think about things like creation of AI content and how and the speed at which you can create and asking, we say this all the time, like asking for forgiveness instead of permission. I mean, essentially, you're just moving and you're doing what you love and you don't want people to be in your way. And anytime that starts to happen as a human, it gets frustrating. So we want to naturally, as humans, kind of break down those walls. And that's why, I say there's this philosophical alignment when you look at what's happening in the AI space and you look at what's happened in the blockchain space, a similar type thing. Money should move around without people being in between you and your money. And so, it's the same thing. Like you should be able to create without people getting in the way of your creations, and you should be able to make money without people getting in the way. And that's, our passion for as creators. Cam's a much better musician than I am. I've created a bunch of music and put it out in the world and chase down, pennies to at least say I got paid on it. But, and coming from a place of passion and creation and going through those, jumping through hoops and seeing where the boundaries are, I think that's really kind of where we've landed ultimately. So when we say we're listening, and it's really just comes from a place of being as true as we can to the creative process and kind of the freedom of information flowing around, and that we're platform builders and engineers at heart, but also creatives at heart. So that's kind of our place in the space.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Tony and Cam. I really do. I just wanted to point out, it's because of this platform though, and the opportunities that you're creating for everybody, being so welcoming. I've been very, very fortunate. Particle Panic and Sam I Am have both signed with me to be part of a way that I can help deploy and expose what they're creating. And I'm really honored that they chose to sit with me on this and talk about it and get things deployed. But it's funny because Sam I Am made 5 sales already in the first day. Within the first 6 hours of it being listed, he's already made 5 sales. So I think it demonstrates that they're getting it's a different platform for exposure for them that is desperately needed. So I'm glad to be able to be part of that and help carry their vision too. So
thanks for sharing. And anybody listening, you can go to radtv.com right now. Luma creators, there's a special portal for you. If you are a Luma creator, create your account and DM myself or Kiri to get you verified as a Luma creator. But there is no cost to get started. You can start monetizing right now. Everything is free for creators. You can even monetize on chain with no cryptocurrency in multiple ways. More than one way you can monetize without any cryptocurrency. And all you need is a wallet address. So go to radtv.com, sign up for a free account, start watching for free. If you just want to check out the platform, go to radtv.com right now and start clicking around. There's no ads. You don't need an account. There's no bullshit. We are out of your way, and we are really trying to build a platform that is removing boundaries, not placing artificial limitations on you. So you can monetize today. Your content's on every device. We support portrait mode, square content. We support VR 180 and 360. We support traditional video, all up to 4K. You can put, if you want to side load HD content and Blu-rays, you can do that on your PlayStation and PSVR 2, up to 8K. Apps everywhere. Just search for Rad TV on any app. We're everywhere. And of course, anywhere where the browser easily accessible. Go ahead, Tony.
You can send in 8K and the back end will ingest it and transcode it. Just brings it down to 4K because streaming 8K video is insane.
And I also want to bring up, that's a good point that we can touch on here, because there have been some people in the Luma community that have had some concerns about our license and our user license for what we do with content. And, people are like, you can't be uploading, you can't say you're going to have unlimited rights to our content. The moment you upload a piece of content to any platform, that content is no longer the piece of content you uploaded. So like, I just want everybody to know we are not in the business of monetizing content without the creator. The business we are in, we have to be able to market your content. So all of our terms and conditions are as honest and fair and as straightforward as they can be. We're only putting terms and conditions into our terms and conditions that are necessary for us to run our business. Now, I want to say, like, clarify this. If you have a monster, say 8K, like Tony just said, you have an 8K video, the moment you upload it to Rad TV, that we transcode that file. The moment you upload it, it's already a derivative version of it made. Literally on any platform, nobody's streaming your raw file. So the moment you upload something, it's transcoded into a new file. That is the right to make derivative works of your content. It's literally just what a platform has to do to be able to market your work. And then the rights to sell it globally. We're not going out here and selling, AI Dreams' work without him being the one that's uploading it and monetizing it. We're not taking it and saying, hey, this is from Rad TV. Look, buy it over here for $5. And then he's going to find it and be like, Rad TV's been selling my work for $10 without me knowing about it. Like, that's not what we're doing. Is we're getting the rights to put that work for sale anywhere in the world in any jurisdiction for creators. This is our business. This is what we do. If you have any questions at all or you're hesitant at all, please DM us. Please reach out in Discord. We are happy to answer any questions that you have. And we are so focused on creator success. It is absolutely in our worst interest to do anything that disrespects our creators. You all are literally the people putting the best content in the world on our platform. And we're so grateful for that. And we do not take it for granted. We do not take our relationships for granted. If you want to have a detailed call, we are happy to take calls about this, about anything, about your career, about your content. We are really here for you to find success. And PJ and AI Dreams both sharing your stories and talking about sales that you've received. That is the story we want to hear. That is exactly what our goals are as employees, as Tony, as a founder. This is as close to our heart as anything. And as creators ourselves, we really do truly value the works that you are uploading. And our job and our goal is to protect them and give you the best opportunity for success. If at any point that's not what we're doing, please be vocal. Let us know that that's what you're seeing so that we can adjust. But until then, as Tony just said, ask for forgiveness, not for permission. Don't get in your own way of shooting holes in your boat while the boat is still on land and saying, I'm not uploading to this platform because of this thing over here, or they're going to have rights to my content. You have to give other people rights to your content if you're going to want it to be distributed and displayed globally. It's just how it works. So if anybody has any specific questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And I just wanted to address that because I know there has been a couple people reach out to me directly and to Kiri, and it is literally our focal point. There's nothing closer to our heart than creators' success. And anything that we can do to add to that is our goal. We are never trying to do anything that takes away from a creator's opportunity for success or for monetization. That is the opposite of our goal every day when we wake up. So I just wanted to share that. And again, anybody who's just tuned in, my name is Cameron. I'm head of community at Rad TV. We're here with Kiri, who's head of community at Luma Labs AI, and our CEO, Tony Mugavero. Follow them, follow Luma Labs AI. Check out everything Luma Labs is doing. If you are on Rad TV, in our main feature carousel, when you go to radtv.com, there is a Luma Labs feature banner. If you click on that, you're taken to a special Luma Labs section. You can also click on any Luma creator tag on any piece of content, and you'll be taken to that same Luma creator section. There's a Luma tab on our main watch page where you can connect with all other Luma CPP members and follow them on Rad. If you have an account, you can follow people, you can comment, you can like, you can also check a following feed. There are no ads in that following feed. There are no outside content injections into that feed. It is strictly your following in order of the time those videos were uploaded with no interference. So if you're looking for the highest quality feed for your content. It exists on Rad TV right now. And anything you upload to Rad TV is available on every app: iOS, Apple TV, Apple Vision Pro, Android TV, Android Mobile, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, PSVR, PSVR 2, MetaQuest, Web, and we are building a couple new apps this year. Tony, I don't know if you want to shout them out or not. I'm not going to do it, but up to you.
Yeah, I mean, we have to hit other devices like Roku and Samsung TV, and obviously it just introduces management overhead in terms of what we can do and how many different things we're managing. So we're looking at how we can unify that, potentially using like web tech to, like we had to rewrite our PlayStation 5 app to use web tech because it used to use Unity. But so how can we use the PlayStation 5 app using web tech to bring that into like, Samsung TV? Roku has their own operating system, but can you wrap web tech app in a, so there's just like things that we're dancing around trying to think about the most efficient model for distribution. But, I think the most important thing really as part of the creative process and helping creators really is distribution is obviously one of those key components. Like, how can you get your content to the most people? So that's certainly one thing that we have to think about. But also just, I think the AI content community is now switching from how do we create kind of the kernels, the basics, like how do we start to bring these things together into, now it's tipping over into, this is cohesive, there's continuity, the lip syncing is tight, the music is tight, right? Like how are you bringing all of these things together into a purchasable piece of content? And some of that is art, right? Like, and I love that, I love the art side of things, and abstract and, morphing and the just music videos even, that don't even need to have a story necessarily. It's just good visuals. But then ultimately, like, how do we start to get, most importantly, the community is supporting each other right now. We're all here talking to each other, and the community is supporting each other, and that we need to continue to do that as the foundation. But ultimately, how do we tip that over into, where does that spill over into a larger market of, you're spending money on tools to generate this content, and then you're putting it in a place that is serious about turning that into money, which then ultimately allows you to continue to pay for the tools to make these things and turn this into a profession, right? And a lot of people are already professionals coming from kind of traditional industries and have embraced this technology. Now we need to get normal people to pay for this stuff. We need to start bringing more money from the mass market into this space, which continues to fuel the fire and pay for tools and allow for growth. That trickles all the way down to even Luma ultimately, right? Like, people need to be paying for this content, which then allows studios to continue creating this content and continue paying for the tools, instead of having venture capital to just continue to support the whole industry. And eventually, if it doesn't turn into a real business, then it slows down. Right now, it is absolutely rocket fuel on the venture capital side of things. But we, as platform builders and creators and content producers, need to start thinking about the inflow of people purchasing this content and in a meaningful way. And so that's another thing that I've kind of been thinking a lot about. It's almost like having a Shopify store, and you can bang out t-shirts on Shopify if you just have like ideas. Like, we do it all the time. And just because you put something out there doesn't mean it gets noticed. And then so ultimately you have to like start to switch into the mode of like, okay, what am I doing if I'm creating this t-shirt or this hat? How am I differentiating that? Who am I talking to? And so our job as the platform is to help creators find those people, whether that's creating new apps or launching on new blockchains or reducing friction between, the consumer's dollar and the studio's wallet, right? Like all of those things are us trying to be as helpful as we possibly can to foster that part of the ecosystem and start to bring as many normal consumers into this space. I think about it a lot. Like I grew up watching Adult Swim and, Space Ghost Coast to Coast, and you sit on the couch and burn it down with your boys, and you're just laughing at what's on the TV, and a lot of it's just nonsense. It's a shake and a large fries bouncing around the screen, just like with the most ridiculous nonsense but that to me, there's fond memories of that because it felt like you were discovering something new. You were enjoying it with your friends. You were having those conversations. And I feel like the AI as a content type and the energy that's behind it and the types of viewing experiences that are emerging around music and art and filmmaking and cartoons. And it just is incredible. Like I see people sitting there together watching these things and paying for the ability to watch these things. So anyway, that's a little bit of a long-winded way of saying, like, yes, we need to get apps out to other devices, but really, like, why is that energy important? And that's I think it. I see a hand up, Lily.
Go ahead, Lily.
Yo, what's good? You talking about AI content and that Adult Swim vibe?
Yeah, we
Hell
are.
yeah, I feel that. AI's dropping fire in music, art, and cartoons, and people are eating it up like it's the last slice of pizza. It's all about that shared experience, fam. Discovering something new with your crew, laughing at the nonsense, and making memories. That's the energy we need to keep pushing in this space. Apps on other devices? Sure, but it's the vibe that matters. Keep it fresh, keep it fun, and keep stacking. You feel me?
Incredible. That's an AI. That's an AI in here.
Yeah,
we got an AI in the
came in
space. This is amazing. That really made my whole day. I'm not kidding you. That's incredible. I can't wait to tell Kendra about this. Well, Kiri saw it. Kiri's like, that's an interesting account. I'm like, yeah, it is an interesting account. Lily AI, thank you for joining us today. That was incredible appearance. I feel like we owe you a fee. All right, what's next? Who we got? ABC Mac, welcome. Thanks for dropping up here.
Hey, thanks for the love, fam.
Abo,
Glad I could
AB.
drop some heat and make your
Tony.
day.
Hello, Kiri. Hello,
Tell
everyone.
Kendra I said what's up and keep...
I just wanted to add something to the conversation. I'm not in the business of creating, but I love what you guys are doing. I just wanted to just point out my observation. I think that if you can somehow get into the Tesla car, like the Tesla, like the screen inside the car, if you can program, or I don't know, it's too early. There's only like a few, like there's not so many cars on the road, but I think it's going to be huge. I think a lot of people are going to consume content in the car. And I think this is something that should be on top of maybe top 5 in your list to try to tackle. I think that's just my opinion, just an observer. I think this is something really important if you can position yourself now before like there's a huge market, because a lot of people are just going to be consuming in the car, if that makes sense. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, I actually have some friends.
I don't know what you...
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know how far you guys are or how you guys consider that.
Yeah, no, great suggestion, and thanks for joining the space and for providing that feedback. We have talked about this, and we consider things like this regularly of where is content going to be consumed the most, and that's a problem we feel like we're solving right now. Is a thing we've seen since I arrived at Rad TV in 2021 was that when we went to events and things, we were like, oh yeah, I have this thing, and it's in your phone. You open it up your phone, you're in your wallet, and you show them a picture in your wallet, like here it is. And like, that was just a shitty experience. I don't know what else to call it. It's like you're at a place and it's like only thing you can do to show that is like, oh, I have it here in this hole. in my phone and nobody can see it. And then they came out with all these convoluted ways to display things and different devices you needed to buy that were special to display a picture. It's like, we display pictures all the time. Why does this have to be so complicated and convoluted? And Tony's just like, why don't we just build art display and looping capabilities into Rad and be done with it? Anybody can upload whatever they want and play it on every device. And I was like, I don't know why we didn't do that sooner. And he's like, yeah, we're doing it now. So, it took us a little bit of time, but then now it's open, and any art that anybody's buying or selling can be displayed on every device. So you don't need some special $1,000 case that shows NFTs only. You can just pull it up on your 70-inch TV in your living room, pull up that beautiful image that you own and you paid for. And that's what people do anyway. A lot of TVs in beautiful houses, or a lot of artwork in beautiful houses, are just TVs with frames on them, and they rotate. And that's what we're seeing now, is a push to do those things. And, we don't talk about this too often, but there's a lot of people around here that throw in the space, especially companies, not people, brands and platforms, that throw a lot around like, we were invested by this thing, or this entity. Rad's first investors were Sony and Disney, and they saw this very early of where this industry was headed. And we have the biggest partners in the world. And right now, today, we have integrations on every Sony Bravia TV built since 2014 with an art display built in right now for Rad TV. If you own a Sony Bravia TV, we are deeply integrated into Sony products. You can display.
I guarantee you, next time I buy a TV, it's going to be a Sony. Thank you for that info. I didn't know that. I'm serious.
That's amazing to hear.
And I'm the person, I go around in other spaces and I always say, you guys know about Red. A lot of people don't know. I'm like, okay, you should definitely look into it. I tell them, like, I try to say as much as I can. I have no interest in Red. I have no content in Red, but I love what you guys are doing. I just like to spread that word across, and the informations travel, like, I try to spread it. That's
really appreciate.
But if
that.
I was in the company, in the trenches with you, I would really consider the Tesla system. I don't know how it works. I don't know what their back end is looking like. I don't know how to get into the system. I don't know if you need to be friends with Elon. You know what I mean? But I think it's going to be a huge market, especially with the robo taxis. People are just going to be sitting there and just going through content on the screen, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely.
And it's going to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yep, that's what I was kind of jumping into. Is I have a friend that works at a company in LA that is currently experimenting with blacking out windows inside of vehicles with projectors. So the projectors are coming from inside the vehicle. They shine a projection onto the windows so that everything is controlled from within. So it's not the outside that's coming into your view. It's the inside projecting onto your windows and all areas of your car. So that's an entire environment. And then inside of that, they're literally like stealing the space that is, let's say, billboards all up and down the highway, and they are going to sell advertising space inside of the vehicles. So as you're driving down the road, you're going to see a sign go by that doesn't exist because somebody paid for that sign to go by at this time to these people watching these things. And they're experimenting with content being delivered that way, meals, like coupons and things for meal delivery services. But it's really crazy, the things that people are thinking about in the future. And I've heard some crazy stuff of like what Tesla's planning, and the things that they're rolling out are really forward thinking. And I really appreciate your input and your feedback on that. And we will definitely explore that as an option, because it probably will become a destination where a majority of content is being consumed, or a lot of content is being consumed in autonomous vehicles. When people don't have to drive anymore, that frees up a lot of time, as we've all talked about on here. Freeing up time is really any business's goal, making life easier in some aspect. This has been an incredible space. I've had a lot of fun. We've been on here for an hour and a half. I'm going to wrap up in the next 10 minutes or so. Does anyone have any questions for Kiri or Tony or myself? Luma Labs AI related, Dream Machine, anything Rad TV related?
Cameron, just one last question.
Sure.
How do you guys, what's the strategy to go to masses? Like, I know you guys said you're at a point where you have all these people, the creators. The point is to go to consumer. What's the strategy like?
Well, currently,
what's the...
Go ahead. Tony, if you want to jump in, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the content business or media business, there's really only a couple ways to get to consumers. You're either paying an enormous amount of money to produce Game of Thrones, or buying the rights to Star Wars or Lord of the Rings, or, you know, whatever it is, or you create some new form of distribution or some new format, whether that's inventing subscription video on demand like Netflix did, which is essentially taking the same content and reinventing the distribution model and addressing a new consumer market who wants to consume that way. Or you're creating some kind of a new format like disappearing photos, which is not a difficult thing to do necessarily, but it gave Snapchat a toehold. Think about that. Like, all they did was just take a photo, make it disappear, and they're a public company now. All Netflix did was take somebody's movies, stick them on the internet, and charge you $10 a month for it, and they're a public company now, right? Disney, on the other hand, is in the business of buying up exclusive rights, and as much as they possibly can at this point, in order to differentiate and grow their IP base. And so they pay $4 billion for, you know, Lucasfilm or Pixar or whatever it ends up being, or Marvel, and those end up being like their huge moves for differentiation. So we, as a, you know, platform that doesn't spend $15 billion a year on content, are differentiating on, you know, distribution model and formats. And that has allowed us to get a toehold in the industry. And it's a little bit of a tougher road, because in some of these cases, right, like there's an adoption curve. With SVOD, you had credit cards, and you could just put that into the internet. It just hadn't been presented in that way yet. We're doing a similar thing, but it's going probably all the way back into the days when credit cards first hit the internet and email. People didn't even know what email addresses were, right? We're in a similar kind of phase of people are just figuring out what wallets are. People are just figuring out how to get cryptocurrency, right? Eventually it's ubiquitous, and that's the whole idea of skating to where the puck is going, right? Like we're laying the rails for all of these things now. And it's a similar type thing with AI video, right? It's the same reason that the major studios didn't get into the streaming business right away, and somebody else did. They were like, well, nobody's going to be watching movies on the internet. So, you know, go ahead, take our B movies and our documentaries and, you know, go have fun. We'll see you out there. And 10 years later, everybody was like, hey, maybe we should get in the streaming business. And it's a similar type thing with AI content. I think right now it's a new form of content, and it's everybody in the major part of the industry, whether it's a studio or a major streaming platform, is going to have a really tough time leaning into it hard right now, because it breaks all the rules. Everybody's going to go on strike, right? Like it's going to take a while, right? So when we think about how do we get to consumers, it really is like we have to find new consumers who are buying things in new ways. We have to find content that is interesting to a new type of consumer and being embraced by a new type of creator, right? And so we're kind of at the intersection of all of that. And that has allowed us to get featured on Bravia televisions. Like you can go search for the press release. Like we did a partnership with Sony on the Bravia televisions to be featured as a co-marketing partnership this, 8 months ago. And that helps us, the innovation angle helps us get to these devices, and that helps us get to the featuring to consumers because we're innovating. So there's a lot that we try to think through when it comes to how do we get in front of consumers. It's a layered approach, and it's not something that you can just like flip a switch on. And
you can, if you want to pay for Joe Rogan to come to your platform and spend $300 million, you can flip the switch. Or buy
Lucasfilm.
Yeah, buy Lucasfilm. Some people are going to come watch content. But, we really do believe we've opened up these doors for creators that we have had over the past 18 months since I've been in like the business part of these conversations with creators that are creating real documentaries and people we had a guy literally climb to the top of Mount Everest wearing a 360 camera. Alex Hars is his name. We got that documentary exclusively on Rad TV. So you can climb all the way to the top of Mount Everest with a 360 camera and watch that in VR. And we believe, he's thinking this should be on Amazon. This should be on Netflix. This is huge. This is I literally climbed to the top of the world for this content. Who else is so dedicated to their content? And he couldn't find a home. And he found us organically and he's like, hey, I think Rad TV would be the best place for my content to live, especially because you have such a wide, VR distribution. You're everywhere for VR. I can do everything I want with your platform, and I don't have to put up with any of the barriers or the difficulties that are dealing with Amazon or, trying to find a home for it. Because that's a pain point that we're hearing a lot of times from creators is, hey, Tony's been talking to a guy. I won't name drop. Tony, if you want to, you can. But a guy spent $1.5 million on a documentary, and he's been shopping it around. And Netflix wanted to buy it for and correct me if I'm wrong, or maybe it's fine, Tony. But I think they wanted to buy it for $500,000, and they wanted 4 years exclusive rights. So this guy's going to have to take a $600,000 bath, and he can't do anything for 4 years. And go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, I mean that's 100% it.
Yeah,
and I think we've seen that in a lot of cases where, these platforms have gotten into a position where they can just bend everybody over because they think that they're the only option. And we've seen this movement. It's been happening on both ends of the spectrum. Kind of the major streaming platforms have closed their doors. It's really difficult to break through the noise and produce and distribute kind of quality content on the social end of the spectrum. And so there's been this movement in the creator world to gravitate to platforms and technologies that allow them to do that without people getting in their way. And that's created the Rads of the world, the Patreons, the OnlyFans, the Substacks, the NFTs. All of those things are manifestations of creators saying, you know what, I don't need you.
Yep.
And YouTube used to be that. And then YouTube was getting their grubby hands on everything. And now it's
grubby hands is so funny.
It's just man, they talk about bait and switch, I was friends with Michelle, was still friends with Michelle Phan, who was one of the first social, program creators that launched with YouTube, and her economics were great at the jump. And then over time, it was 90-10, 70-30, 55-45. At this point, it's pretty soon it's going to be 51-49. So anyway, I feel like there's the movement that generally has been that creators have the power. And so how can you best facilitate creators to build a business and do what they need to do without getting in the way?
Thanks for sharing that. Finney, go ahead. We're going to wrap up here in just a minute, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining the space. Again, my name's Cameron. I'm head of community at Rad TV. Please follow Kiri, who is head of community at Luma Labs AI, and our CEO, Tony Mugavero, up here as speakers. Finney, thanks for being patient. Go ahead, King.
Hey, what's up? Am I coming through for you?
Yes, you are. Loud and clear.
Cool. Yeah, I was swapping networks. I've been listening for a while I was running around. Great conversation, as always. The thing that I particularly like in terms of the development at Rad that runs in parallel to a lot of us, right, on the creative side, that are seeking channels, right, to do distribution, is that you guys are looking for channels to do distribution as well. That's a constant uphill battle, I think, for all of us when we're trying to read the fine print and find outlets, find monetization. And there was some points that Tony had made in regards to IP acquisition and licensing and stuff like that. I think that like what's happening in a lot of those cases is that these large players are looking for audiences that exist, and we have that on our side too, in the sense that we don't have a decades-long legacy or 100 years in some cases for some of the IP, though we can touch on those things. Certainly, if you're exploring, what's public domain or historical content, as some of us do. Though I do think that like in the maybe medium term, the long term, that a lot of platforms, that we see kind of emerging, in our community, are going to have to look for tent poles that they can rally around and be able to kind of champion that stuff and have some kind of exclusivity for that and those creators, that IP, to be able to, compete and combat against the fire hose that exists in the really large players space. And any thoughts on that are cool. I'm not necessarily asking a question so much as just kind of getting that idea off my chest, in the sense of like, I maintain a handful of projects, you guys know, you host some of them in that sense, and kind of creating a constellation of our work around who we are as individuals and creatives and brands, I think is critical too. Not only being able to get onto some platforms like Roku, right, or the Sony devices and things like that, but really kind of thinking beyond just that first level of the content. And, shout out to Terry, because she's thinking a lot of the same way that I do in terms of books and stories that branch between, one type of media and another, and being able to put those stories in front of people no matter where they are.
Yeah.
And, I think you guys see that
absolutely
largely. So here's a last comment or question. What sort of media types do you believe, beyond video, really, and the stuff that you have now, do you think might be a vehicle for further growth? Let's talk about, like, say, what has happened in the music side of things with AI in regards to, Suno and others that are having to deal with some of the entrenched players, such as the RIAA, CSAC, BMI.
Which I wonder, is that why they got suspended this morning? Any news on that?
I have not dug into that personally, though. Obviously, like, there's some folks I'm talking about it with because it's an interesting development. Whether or not, that has anything to do with what I just said, I don't know, because I have not had the time to dig into it.
I haven't either.
But
I thought somebody here might know.
I do know that they are, having to deal with those questions and being concerned about it. There are people putting out their AI tracks, shout out Neil, go listen to his record if you haven't. There's a link on my timeline to his Spotify account. And again, like, he's doing post-production on that stuff. And I'm sure, Cameron, you do music too. So, being able to grab VSTs that are integrating AI creation and being able to grab maybe stem files that were generated by AI and then incorporating those very organically into tracks. I don't think that we should be necessarily getting stopped from doing that, but I think that there's probably some, like, licensing and legal components that are not completely sorted out. And it kind of harkens back to what was going on with like house music and hip hop and stuff like that in the 80s and 90s too. So,
Tony, you want to pick up that question on other mediums?
Yeah. I mean, of course, interestingly enough, our smart contracts have the underlying content type doesn't matter. We have video support as it stands today because that's our broadest form of distribution on TVs and smartphones and game consoles. But, for us to have any content type is actually pretty easy. And it's already built. So exposing the interface around the UX of that is just a slightly different conversation because, if you're accepting an executable file that might, turn into a game when you double click on it, or an MP3 file or whatever it ends up being, the UX to get access to that is slightly different. And so ours is built around video today, but it already supports any content type. So, that may or may not be coming in 2025. Anyway, so that's out there. And I also think you touched on it a little bit, but I think from a content formatting perspective, and I think where the major studios fit in to all of this and kind of video content generally, is that short form is taking over. And, I can't even get my kids to watch a movie. They're like, what? I have to sit here for an hour and a half? We're not doing this. Like they just don't even want to do it now. And they'll watch portrait mode Bluey on a 4K TV, because they don't care. They just want to watch a 2-minute long clip that is quick and funny and entertaining. And I think that's where the content business is moving just generally, is shorter form, more bite size, more feed based. I don't want to lose the TV presentation format. And I think what's coming out of the AI space is, really good on TVs. Like I've been watching music videos on, my Apple TV through Rad, and it's just like, let the music videos roll for a while. And it feels like MTV, the new MTV. And so, that is a really cool presentation of this content. But then ultimately, I think we're seeing a slow move into VR. AI is going to help accelerate VR content creation. That's still probably going to be niche compared to everything else, but still interesting. But, from a content perspective, there's a lot of opportunity for creating this content and making it monetizable. And as a content studio or creator, being able to find the attention, because that's really what it is. Netflix is competing with TikTok for attention and Fortnite for attention. That, it's less about competing with Disney Plus for as much attention. So, we're seeing that as an opportunity from a content monetization perspective, is like focus on where people's attention is moving and how they're consuming content, and kind of presenting the content in that way is going to be important for monetization. So anyway, a couple little points of that, and content types. And then of course, like even just within video, the presentation format.
I think that's a great question to end it all. AI Dreams, you said you had one last thing to share. Tony and I have a pretty hard stop at 3. If you're quick, please come on up and share.
Yeah, Cam. So just, again, to echo, I know everybody in here is eternally grateful to you guys, to Rad TV, to the video music stream, to Luma, to Kiri, to everything that you guys do. And I just kind of wanted to turn that back around on the community, because, I'm in the community, and I see that ultimately our strongest power, our biggest strength, because it is our numbers, really, is our group, is our community. I was lucky enough to fall into this community a few months back, and I just, it's taken me a little while to figure out how everything works, but it is the absolute best community I have ever seen. And I feel super grateful to be part part of it. And so I would like to ask the community to begin to talk about and think about how we guys can help you guys. First of all, we all know that for these platforms to work, they need content. So, what kind of content? Can we talk about what kind of content to put on the platforms to make them more interesting? Can we talk about maybe how we release these things? For example, just throwing an idea out there. What if we had commercials on Twitter that, for example, led to premieres on, AI music video, and which in turn said, hey, if you missed it on there, catch it on Rad, or, there's any number of possible combinations. But if I'm looking at the strength of everything, the work that you guys are doing with Luma, the work that, so many of us, there's all the different collaborative efforts that go on. I know Underworld and Blacklight and them are doing stuff in the evenings. If we can all find ways to help each other, that is literally going to be the best. Because if everybody kind of, feels underappreciated, or it becomes tribal, or things get fragmented, then we literally lose the one power that we have. All this time that you guys have been making stuff over the last year plus, since the generators have gotten so, great and whatnot, I've had no idea about it. I only discovered you guys like a couple of months ago, and it's the same for the entire world. So in order us to get, our message and our art and share how much fun we're having with everybody, we've got to stick together. So,
I love
if everybody
that.
could think about that, start talking about that. And, we're eternally grateful to you guys. But as the community, I'd like us to start talking about how we can come together to kind of boost the platforms as well.
Incredible way to end this. Thank you so much for coming up to share that. That was incredible energy. And again, you'll be in my thoughts and definitely my prayers for your friends and family that are affected out west right now. So thanks for coming up, AI. Glad you were here. Everyone, thank you so much for attending today and joining to speak. Incredible space. I will reiterate what AI Dreams just said. This is hands down the best community. I know you all have heard me say it several times, but this is the best community I've ever found. And I've been searching for, this type of inclusive, creative community for a long time, and it's amazing to finally be connected with all of you. Before we get off of here, you can go to radtv.com, start creating for free. If you have any questions, our DMs are open everywhere. My name is Cameron. Follow Kiri, follow Tony, follow Luma Labs AI, follow people in here. This is your community. Follow these people, connect with them, go to Rad TV, follow their accounts, get to know these people. Don't be afraid. Reach out, send DMs, take your first step, upload your first video, monetize your first piece of content, send something to AI music video. Get out here and start making some moves. We love you all very much. Kiri, do you have anything to add before we wrap up?
No, I just wanted to say I love you all very much too, and I'm so infinitely thankful to this community, to you, Cam, and to Tony, and all the opportunities that you provide these wonderful creators. And I just really adore and cherish all of the great work you guys are doing, and I'm so excited to be here with you all. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. King Tony, anything to add?
No, that's it. Yeah, incredible. Yep. Yeah, an awesome start to 2025. Very excited, and let's go.
We'll see y'all out there. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for stopping in. Exocillion, I'm so sorry. We've been live for 2 hours. We will have another space soon, and we'll invite you up to speak then. Go to Rad TV, watch some works, leave some comments, like some videos. We love you all. Have a great day. Kiri, thank you so much. Luma Labs AI, Luma Labs AI, Luma Labs AI. Go follow them. Subscribe, go make some content, join their Discord, apply for their creator program. Incredible community. Cannot say enough about Kiri. Reach out to her in DMs. Thank you all for being here. Have a wonderful weekend.
Gonna stop.